All right, guys, welcome back to the shack. Today we're going to be going over a project that I've been working on, which is a CNC laser project in my case. You could use other tools, but for my build, I decided I wanted to use all the robots. So I used the CNC and the laser on this project. And this is going to be given away to a local charity as a kind of a donation prize to be auctioned off. And the money that they collect is going to go to help kids who are in need of services. So that's what we're working on. And if you want to walk over here, and we're going to get started and go over what we got. All right, and so for the project, guys, I use the Shapeoko, of course. That is my biggest CNC that I have, and of course, it's the favorite here in the shack. So I wound up making two of these guys. The first one was kind of my prototype. I made this one out of poplar, and of course, it's using 1/4-inch birch as the backdrop. And all of the text and stuff is engraved. These little lines right here were also engraved with the laser, and I'll show you that on the computer here in a minute. And of course, it's just a back panel, nothing really special. It's basically just a box with one shelf and a backer. This one would be a little easier because there's not a lot of intricate CNC work. Everything's done with the laser on the little back piece here. So the second one, this is the one that I plan to actually give away at the event. So I wanted to make it a little fancier. I wanted to make, kind of make it extra. So that's what I did. And so this one is made out of oak. It's a little more expensive material. And you can see that the letters, instead of being laser engraved, I actually CNC'd this out. Used an offset to make these letters kind of look, just made a little sign more or less. And then did the laser treatment to the back and just kind of give it that old classic, I guess it would be 1940s to 60s, whatever, paneling look. I don't know what it's called. My wife knows. I don't know, but it looks cool. So that's what I did with that. I did use a drill to pre-drill for the hooks right there for the coffee cups. These hooks will be holding 4 coffee cups, 2 on each side. And part of the package, if the person wins this, is going to be that I will engrave the coffee cups with a logo if they want, or some names, or whatever the case may be. That's going to be subject to, drop off and pick up after the event. But I thought that was kind of cool. Also, I'm going to have my friends Jason and Brooke over at Cog Hill. I've talked to them, and I don't know if you guys know it or not, but they have their own brand of coffee, and it's pretty good coffee. It is actually like ground and processed and all that here in Central Alabama, and so I thought that would be fitting to include it on this. And so we're going to include some of their coffee as well as a little thing of their honey from their bees, which are just up the road from here where mine are, as a sweetener. And thought that would add a little extra kick to it there. So I want to give a shout out to Jason and Brooke over at Cog Hill for participating in me building my little giveaway prize right here. All right, so now that you got the rundown on what it is and kind of how it was put together, I want to show you some of the steps that I used to make it. And instead of taking all that video footage and coming up with a 40-minute video, we're going to try to fly through that on the computer and just kind of show you the steps that I went through. So let's get over there and check that out. All right, guys, so I'm not going to bore you with all the setup in Vectric, but here I am just kind of laying out the spacing for the insets. What I did is I went in like 3 millimeters on my boards and added basically like a little rabbit there so that the board could set in it. That's going to help, one, make it easier for me to put together so I don't have to like try to hold everything in place, but it's also going to make it much stronger because the ends of those boards will be set in those recesses. A little bit of glue there, clamp it up and let it dry. There's not really going to be any need for a whole bunch of nails or staples. I will be adding staples and nails in the back of the material where the little sheet is held on to the main frame. So basically all I've got here is I've got the outer cut, and then I've got these little rabbits that I'm cutting here. You could do this with a table saw and a dado stack. You could do it, I mean, lots of different ways. I've done it before with a skill saw without a dado stack, or with a table saw without a dado stack. It's just a lot easier with the CNC because basically I've got this board that I picked up at Lowe's, and I'm just taking it and I'm cutting just enough off the edges to make sure that it's square and so that I don't have to worry about any alignment issues. And I'm adding those rabbets in there for the board to sit in. You'll also notice I've got one on the back as well. That is a recess for my little back panel to sit down in there, because I wanted to make it structurally stronger. I needed that back panel to kind of sit down inside that hole, so that when I glued it and stapled it or whichever, it would like bind against itself, against the edges, and just make it a lot stronger. So played around with this. Another thing you'll notice is that right there, I just showed you the little 3mm drop that I've got for the boards there. If you notice, it goes over the edge of the actual material. And the reason is because if you make it exactly the right size when you're doing this, then you're going to wind up with little rounded corners. So you got to overreach it a little bit to get the corners square. All right, so I output the file over to the CNC machine. I use a separate computer to control the CNC, but I deploy the files using carbide motion from there. And basically, all I've got to do now is just wait on this thing to cut. Because of the way that my cuts are laid out, and I'm just skimming that little piece off the edges like that, I did use tape to hold down my work pieces instead of clamps. There just really wasn't any room for clamps. And then while this is processing, guys, I'm going to be bouncing over to Lightburn to get the rest of the project underway. And so in Lightburn, I knew the measurements from putting the file together, exactly how big the back needed to be. And so what I'm doing now is I'm just creating that tool line you see is basically, that's the size of the back panel, the insert. So I've made this so where I can actually have the back panel come out the top if I want, or I can just have it stop at the bottom. Either way, it makes it really versatile. So if you want to do it with a laser like this, you can do it this way, or if you want to do it with the CNC the other way, you can. And so Brandy's kind of sitting over my shoulder right now, helping me design this the way that she thinks it needs to be. And so we're just going to put the text in there and figure out how everything needs to go together. I've got to bring a graphic in, do some slight modifications to it, and then we're going to be sending that file over to the X40. You can see that I am using every last little bit of the work area that I have, because this thing is almost too big for the X40. But as you can see, it does work. It will fit. And so the next part that I got to do, guys, is I've got to come up with this little text down at the bottom. And of course, like I said, Brandy's over my shoulder. She's saying, okay, I want this text. I want it this size. I think it needs to look like this. And so we're just working through it. That's part of the workflow sometimes, especially when you're working on a project that you think that she likes. And so what I did right here is I'm basically getting my spacing right, and then I swap that over, turn that into a path so that I could basically just break this text up after I had done created one text box. Nothing too complicated there. What I'm trying to do is make room to put the little coffee cup in there that she wanted. We did find a graphic online that I was able to kind of grab. It didn't quite look the way we wanted it to look, so we're gonna offset it and fix it here in just a minute. What I'm doing now on those letters, I did an inside offset, and that gives it kind of that hollowed look on that text there. It's hard to tell from here, but that's what I did there. And then this, like I said, snagged this offline. Didn't really like it, the way that it looked, so we're going to take and modify it ever so slightly to our liking. So basically, I'm just replicating some of these little pieces from the design. And I'm just going to make this a little more bold. And I'm doing that same thing I did with them bottom letters. I'm setting that interior hollow, kind of setting that up to where it'll match the text at the bottom ever so slightly. And just adjusting it, getting it the way that I wanted it to look, and dropping it in there. And so that passed the test. Brandy said she liked it, so we're going to set that up to run. Now, the one thing that I did on this right here, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to design these little stripes that are in the back, to make it have this old style paneling look. So that's what I'm doing now, just setting that up. I'm using that little tool line that I created earlier to kind of give me a guide. And basically I'm going in with the array tool and replicating those two little bars and just setting the size, getting it where it needs to be, centering everything. Now I'm saving the file just in case. setting all my settings in there, which what I did do is I forgot to change the direction for those little stripes and wound up with a lot of white space in there. The second time I did this, I did reconfigure the file and did away with all the white space. But this is the second one. This is showing the cutout on the second one that I did for the oak coffee stand. So this is the X40 Max that I've had for quite a while. Like I said, it's kind of my go-to for big stuff. I've got the drop bed in it. If you want to know more about this machine, like I said, just search the channel. Also, you can look up the enclosure Zilla. That's the enclosure that I'm running it in right there. It's my DIY enclosure. It has a drop bed with like 12 inches of range to lower the material. Also got the fresh air intake that you can see in the top there. It's just a pretty cool little setup. So got this panel cut out, and this is the prototype for the poplar one. And you can see those joints turned out really, really nice on the CNC. And that's what we ended up with the prototype on the first one. The oak, same file. I did have to go in and do a little tweaking to it. Like I said, I run out of material, so I'm using thinner material for the top parts than I am the bottom. But it turned out really well. It just made it look a little better, and also give it a little more weight at the bottom. Makes it balance a little easier, I think. And no, I'm not running this. This is definitely not normal speed. I've got this sped up just because, like I said, I want to keep this video a little shorter. But you can see that that's all it's doing is it's throwing those. It's got those 3 little notches for the shelves to sit in, and then I've also got that one on the back that is going to work for the back panel to kind of slide in. On this particular one, this is the oak one, and so I did take a ball nose Genie and do the top text width to kind of give it that rounded, dropped in look. And then on the more fine text down at the bottom, I had to step it up, and I went with a 30-degree downcut Genie bit, the V-carve bit. So wound up setting that up as a V-carve toolpath along with the coffee cup that I put in there. So that way the text would kind of give it a little bit of a contrast in the 2 different text types. But once all that got through engraving, guys, it was time to go over to the table for the part that I hate most about most projects, and that is the painting. All right, so before I started painting this, guys, I went over it with like 2 or 3 coats of polyacrylic. Polyacrylic's just basically in a clear acrylic paint, and the reason you do that is to try to keep some of the bleeding down, because that black paint will absorb into those fibers of the wood and try to bleed through. Sometimes I do a better job than others with the clear coating, but I did okay on this one. It turned out all right, but you want to make sure you do that before you paint. And in this particular situation, I'm using just some acrylic paint from Walmart from the hobby section. It's just black paint with a little like hobby craft brush there. These little thin letters were a little tough to get into. Took me a while to get all of that through, but once I got that painted, let that dry, of course, overnight, and then the next day we're going to sand her up and get her ready. All right, one last look before we go to putting everything together and sanding it completely. This is right after I had painted it. I let it set overnight, and you can see, man, those joints married up really nice. The only thing holding it together right now is that rubber band. This is before I clamped it and glued it and all that. I'm just checking all my joints to make sure everything's like it needs to be before we do the final part. I'm going to take also and sand this thing down and make sure there's no goof ups on that before we permanently attach it. But once I got everything glued on there, clamped, let it sit overnight, the next day, did the finishing sanded, rounded some of the corners, and hit it with some spray, and we're done, guys. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for today's video. Like I said, I thought this was a pretty cool project, and especially partnering with Jason and Brooke over at Cog Hill, kind of spice things up. So I will be dropping links to the auction, the Facebook page where the Child Advocacy Center does most of their work, and the Facebook page, the event page for the Flutter event. If you're interested, if you're in the area and you want to come to it, then there you go. You can sign up and get some tickets, and also the ticket fee will go to help the donations as well. So it's a win-win the way I look at it. It's a small donation on my part, and I hope that, you know, like in the past years, the auction, the bidding, there was a little bidding war here and there, and prices went up a little more than what I would charge for it. But hey, it's, like I said, it's a charitable donation. So if you, especially if you have a business and you want to donate to a good charity, it's actually a really good charity. So that's it, guys, for today. And until next time, be safe and have a good day.